The grand chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed with an unnatural light. Massive crystal pillars stretched toward the domed ceiling, where artificial stars sparkled in perfect patterns. To most species, it was a breathtaking display of advanced technology and artistic beauty. To Ambassador Thomas Reed, it was just another example of alien excess. Reed sat straight-backed in the uncomfortable chair designed for a body shaped nothing like his own. 15 years of these meetings had taught him to ignore physical discomfort. The mental frustration was harder to dismiss. The petition from Earth for full Council membership status has been reviewed, announced High Chancellor Vos, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. The pale blue alien's voice echoed through the chamber. After careful consideration, the Senior Council recommends a further evaluation period of 5 standard cycles. 5 more years. Reed kept his face blank, a skill perfected through countless disappointments in this very room. Beside him, Lieutenant Jake Wilson shifted slightly. The young military aide had only been attending these sessions for 6 months. He hadn't yet mastered the art of hiding his emotions. Reed could feel the anger radiating from him. "Does the Earth delegation wish to speak?" Vos asked, the question a mere formality. Reed touched the communication panel. "Earth would like to inquire about the specific concerns that require another 5-year evaluation." The Mornay representative, a shimmering cloud of gas contained in an ornate hovering vessel, moved forward. "The Council remains concerned about human unpredictability. Your species advances in unusual directions. Your cultural values seem fluid. These are not qualities the Council finds reassuring." What the alien meant was simple. Humans didn't develop technology in the approved sequence. Humans asked too many questions. Humans changed too quickly. "I see," Reed said. "And the trade restrictions on Earth ships will remain in place until full membership is granted," answered Drex, the reptilian trade minister, "as is standard procedure. Standard procedure that conveniently kept Earth's growing industries locked out of the most profitable markets. Another 5 years of disadvantage while the established species maintained their grip on galactic commerce." Reed exchanged glances with the 4 other humans on his team. Dr. Emily Torres, their science advisor, gave a tiny nod. Colonel Mary Barnes, military liaison, tapped her finger twice on her datapad, their prearranged signal. Jack Lee, the economic advisor, simply closed his folder. It was time. "The Council appreciates your patience in this matter," Vos continued. "Earth's application will be." Reed stood up. The action was so unexpected in the formal council setting that Vos stopped mid-sentence. One by one, the entire human delegation rose to their feet. "Ambassador Reed, there are still 17 items on today's agenda," Vos said, confusion evident in his tone. Reed gathered his papers slowly. "High Chancellor, Earth has participated in these talks for 15 years. We have followed every procedure, met every requirement, and endured every delay. We have shared our medical advances, our art, and our unique perspectives. In return, we have received nothing but empty promises." The chamber had gone completely silent. 43 species, represented by over 200 delegates, watched in stunned surprise. "Earth is withdrawing from these proceedings," Reed said calmly. "Effective immediately." "This is most irregular," gasped the Mornay representative, its gaseous form swirling faster in agitation. "Perhaps," Reed replied, "but so is asking a species to wait 15 years for a seat at a table they've already earned the right to join." Without another word, the 5 humans walked toward the grand exit doors. No one moved to stop them. Most were too shocked by the breach of protocol. Only Admiral Krell of the Drakkar, a race of warrior philosophers, seemed unsurprised. His scaled face remained impassive as he watched the humans leave. "They will be back," sneered Drex. "Where else would they go?" Admiral Krell's eyes narrowed. "That," he said quietly, "is precisely the question you should be asking." 3 days passed without a single message from Earth. For a planet that usually sent dozens of diplomatic communications each day, the silence was deafening. In the private chamber of the council's inner circle, 7 beings gathered around a floating holotable. The mood was tense. "Still nothing?" asked Chancellor Voss. His blue skin had paled to an almost white shade. "Not a word," replied Minister Ix of the Communications Guild. The small 4-armed alien pulled up a display showing all incoming transmissions from Earth's sector. The screen was empty. "They are receiving our messages. They simply choose not to answer." Admiral Krell, the massive reptilian commander of the Drekar Defense Force, rumbled deep in his throat. "I warned you all. Humans do not behave like other species." "They're just making a point," said Drex, waving a dismissive hand. "They'll return when they realize how much they need council markets." The trade minister's confidence was shattered when Ix pulled up another display. This morning, 17 human merchant ships in council space changed course. They're all heading back to human territory. Chancellor Lumi of the Ardani, a gentle species known for their diplomatic skills, leaned forward. Her luminescent skin glowed with concern. "What about the human citizens living in council worlds? There are thousands of them." Ix checked another screen. Travel bookings show large numbers of humans purchasing one-way tickets to Earth, and the human embassies on 12 worlds have begun helping their citizens return home. A heavy silence fell over the room. "They are preparing for something," Admiral Krell said finally. "This is not a tantrum. This is a strategy." Meanwhile, at the edge of council space, the captain of the trade vessel Blue Horizon watched as a human customs official stamped his cargo manifest. "Everything looks in order, Captain Zorn," said the human, a middle-aged man named Parker. "You're cleared to proceed to Earth orbit." Zorn, a furry Talaxian with large ears, couldn't contain his curiosity. "Is it true? Is Earth leaving the council completely?" Parker's face showed nothing. "Above my pay grade, sir. Safe travels." As the Blue Horizon approached Earth, Zorn was startled by what he saw. Normally, Earth orbit was busy but orderly, with traffic flowing in designated patterns. Today, it was packed with vessels of all sizes. Most were human ships, but he spotted dozens from other worlds too. "What's happening?" he asked his first mate. "They're saying all human ships are being called home," the mate replied. "And look at the passenger liners. They're all arriving, none departing." When Zorn finally docked and delivered his cargo of luxury goods, he found the human port unusually efficient. His ship was unloaded in record time. Payment was transferred immediately, and he was quickly cleared for departure. "Don't you want to negotiate for my next delivery?" he asked the dock manager, confused by the rush. "We've been instructed to complete all pending transactions," the manager said. "But we're not taking new contracts at this time." "For how long?" The manager simply shrugged. As Zorn prepared to leave, he noticed something else strange. The massive shipyards near Earth's moon were busy, but they weren't building the usual transport or passenger ships. These vessels were larger, with strange configurations he didn't recognize. Back in the council chamber, an emergency session had been called. Representatives from 27 worlds demanded answers. "What exactly did Earth ask for that we denied?" shouted the delegate from Proxima, a young species that had joined the council only 30 years ago. Chancellor Voss tried to maintain order. "The issue is complex." "The issue," interrupted Admiral Krell, "is that we underestimated them. And now we must deal with the consequences." As if on cue, every communication screen in the chamber suddenly went dark. When they reactivated a moment later, the screens displayed the same simple message. "Earth is charting its own path forward. We wish the Council peace and prosperity." "Impossible," muttered Science Director Lev as he studied the energy readings. The elderly Vex's crystalline fingers tapped nervously on his console. "These numbers cannot be correct." 3 weeks had passed since Earth's delegation walked out. The silence from human space continued, but the activity detected there was anything but quiet. "The readings are verified, Director," said his assistant. 3 independent monitoring stations confirmed them. The data showed massive energy spikes throughout human-controlled space. Planets that had been listed as uninhabited research outposts now pulsed with industrial activity. Asteroids that humans had claimed for minimal mining operations now showed energy outputs that rivaled small suns. Director Lev forwarded the readings to the Council's inner circle with the highest priority tag. 6 hours later, Admiral Krell stood before the emergency session, his scaled face grim. "We have grossly underestimated human capabilities," he said without preamble. "For years, they have presented themselves as technologically developing. We now have evidence this was deliberate deception." Holographic images appeared above the council table. They showed massive orbital structures being assembled around several planets in human territory. These were taken by scout ships sent to the edge of human space, Krell continued. Construction of this scale should take decades. The humans began building these less than 3 weeks ago. Chancellor Vo's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in distress. How is this possible? Their technology was assessed as level 3, with some level 4 capabilities. These structures are at least level 6. They lied to us, hissed Drex. They pretended to need our guidance while developing in secret. At the far end of the table, Chancellor Lumi raised a delicate hand. Or perhaps we never truly looked. Did any of us actually visit their research facilities? Or did we simply assume they would follow the same development path as other species? Uncomfortable silence followed her questions. Meanwhile, on the mining colony of Ceres in the human system, Inspector Grell of the Interstellar Safety Commission was completing what should have been a routine inspection. For years, he had visited this small outpost, verifying that humans were following council mining regulations. Each time, he found the same thing: a small operation extracting basic metals, using simple but effective human technology. Today, the facility was unrecognizable. "This is new," he said to his human guide, trying to keep his voice steady. Before him stretched an enormous factory complex. Robotic arms larger than buildings moved chunks of asteroid with impossible precision. Matter converters, technology that only the oldest council races possessed, were processing raw elements into refined materials at incredible speed. "When did you install matter converters?" Grell asked. "Those are restricted level 6 technology." The human woman, Kate, her name badge read, smiled politely. "These aren't council tech, Inspector. We developed these ourselves. About 12 years ago, actually." 12 years. Grell's voice rose to a squeak. "But you've been asking the council for conversion technology access for 15 years, yes," Kate finished. "After the 3rd rejection, we decided to solve the problem ourselves. Would you like to see the quantum fabrication level next?" Grell nearly dropped his datapad. "Quantum fabrication. That's level 7 technology." Kate's smile never wavered. "Is it? We just call it efficient manufacturing." As they continued the tour, Grell noticed something odd about the workers. "Where are all the humans?" "These are automated systems, but surely you need oversight." "Oh, most of our people have been reassigned," Kate replied. "We're focusing on bigger projects now." "What bigger projects?" Grell asked, dreading the answer. Kate pointed to a massive display screen showing a barren planet surrounded by orbital rings. "That's Novaterra. It was a dead world 3 days ago." She touched a control, and the image changed to show the same planet with swirling white clouds and expanding patches of blue and green. "This is Novaterra today. We're terraforming it." Grell stared in disbelief. "That's impossible. Terraforming takes centuries." "It used to," Kate agreed. "Things change." The council's central station hung like a jeweled pendant in the emptiness of neutral space. For centuries, it had served as the heart of galactic politics. Today, its gleaming halls were filled with fear. "Incoming transmission," announced the station's eye. "Single human vessel approaching." On the main view screen, a small ship appeared. It was sleek and black, unlike the bulky, practical designs humans typically used. It moved with a fluid grace that made several council technicians exchange worried glances. "No energy signatures we recognize," whispered one. "And it's fast, too fast." In the main reception chamber, the council's inner circle waited. None spoke. Even Drex, usually full of bluster, remained silent. The chamber doors slid open. A single human entered, a woman with dark skin and short gray hair. She carried a small case. "I am Courier Jane Bell," she said calmly. "I bring a message from Earth." Admiral Krell stepped forward. "Where is Ambassador Reed? Why has Earth gone silent?" "Ambassador Reed is overseeing more important matters," Bell replied. "I've been authorized to deliver this." She placed the case on the central table and opened it. Inside were small data crystals, one for each council species. "What is this?" Chancellor Voss asked. "The truth," Bell said simply. When the council members accessed the crystals, the chamber erupted in chaos. Each crystal contained information specifically relevant to its recipient's species. All contained evidence of one undeniable fact: humans had been monitoring everything for years. The Vex crystal showed recordings of private council sessions discussing technology to be kept from lesser species like humans. The Mornite crystal revealed secret deals to block human trade routes. The Drakkar crystal exposed plans to limit human military development. But most disturbing were the human technological breakthroughs documented on each crystal. Faster-than-light communication, energy generation that defied known physics, medicine that could extend lifespans dramatically. "You've been spying on us," Drex shouted, his reptilian face flushed with anger. Bell didn't flinch. "We've been defending our interests, just as every species here does. These technologies," Chancellor Lumi said, her voice trembling, "they're well beyond level 7. Some are level 9. How long have you had these capabilities?" "Different advances came at different times," Bell answered. "The gravity manipulation breakthrough was about 8 years ago. The quantum communication system is newer, only 3 years old. And you told no one." Admiral Krell said. It wasn't a question. Bell met his gaze. "Would you have shared them? Or would you have taken them, as you've taken innovations from other young species?" The silence that followed was answer enough. Meanwhile, on the distant world of Proxima 2, Council Governor Trez was dealing with his own human situation. "They just left," he told his security chief. "Every human on the planet, gone overnight. All business contracts properly closed, all debts paid, all obligations formally completed." "Did they say why?" asked the chief. "Only that Earth is charting its own path forward." Before the security chief could respond, every screen in the governor's office activated simultaneously. The image of a human woman appeared. Dr. Emily Torres, the science advisor who had left with Ambassador Reed. "Greetings to all council worlds," Torres began. "For 15 years, Earth has sought partnership with the Galactic Council. For 15 years, we have been denied full membership, restricted from fair trade, and blocked from technological advancement. The broadcast was playing across every council world and station. We no longer seek what you withhold," Torres continued. "Earth has developed its own technologies, formed its own alliances, and determined its own future. We've prepared a demonstration of our capabilities." The screen split to show a barren, rocky planet. "This is Outpost Sigma 9, an uninhabitable world by all standard measures." As billions watched across the galaxy, silver machines descended onto the planet's surface. Within minutes, they burrowed into the ground. Hours compressed into seconds as the recording sped up. Clouds formed. Water appeared. Plants spread across the surface like a green wave. "This transmission was recorded 1 week ago," Torres said. "Sigma 9 now has breathable air, liquid water, and basic vegetation. In 1 month, it will be ready for colonization." She smiled. "Earth is offering free terraforming services to any non-council world in need. We expect nothing in return except friendship." Back at Central Station, Courier Bell closed her case. That concludes my message. Earth wishes you peace. As she turned to leave, Admiral Krell asked one final question. What does Earth want? Bell paused at the door. A galaxy where knowledge isn't hoarded, where progress isn't controlled, where no species is considered lesser. She shrugged. If the Council can't provide that, we'll build it ourselves. The great trading hub of Centauri Prime was in chaos. For centuries, it had been the galaxy's financial center, where fortunes were made and lost on the rise and fall of technology stocks. Today, those stocks were falling faster than anyone could sell. Worthless, shouted a telex trader, his 4 arms waving frantically at his screens. Our gravity stabilizers are now worthless. Similar scenes played out across the trading floor. Companies that had monopolized key technologies for generations watched their value collapse overnight. The humans had changed everything. In the private chamber of megacorporation Action Industries, the board members sat in stunned silence. How bad? Asked Director Mole finally. Our terraforming division is finished, replied the financial officer. The humans can do in days what takes us centuries, and they're offering it for free. Free? Director Mole's eye stalks quivered in disbelief. Why would they do that? To make friends, said the intelligence officer quietly. And it's working. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. 12 non-council worlds had already accepted Earth's offer of terraforming assistance. 3 more had requested human medical technology. And the younger council species were beginning to ask uncomfortable questions about why such technologies had been kept from them. Meanwhile, in the council's emergency session, unity had completely broken down. We must strike now, insisted Admiral Krell, pounding his massive fist on the table. While we still hold military advantage. Are you certain we do? Asked Chancellor Lumi. We thought we held technological advantage too. My fleet stands ready, Krell growled. The Drakkar will not wait for humans to grow even stronger. Chancellor Vos raised his hands for silence. This is exactly what the humans want, to divide us against each other. They've already succeeded, said the representative from Proxima, rising from his seat. My world joined the Council 30 years ago. In that time, we have shared all our innovations. What has the Council shared with us? He looked around the chamber. My government has decided to accept Earth's terraforming offer for our outer colonies. Traitor, hissed Drex. No, the Proximan replied calmly. Just practical. One by one, representatives from 6 other younger species stood and announced similar decisions. Then, in a move that sent shockwaves through the chamber, they walked out, just as the humans had done. Back on Earth, Ambassador Reed watched the council proceedings on a private screen. Behind him, through the wide windows of Earth Command, massive ships took shape in orbit. Not warships, but something far more revolutionary. World builders, research vessels, and ships designed for peaceful exploration beyond the borders of known space. They're fracturing faster than we expected, noted Colonel Barnes, watching the council drama unfold. Reed nodded. Fear does that. The old powers see the end of their control. The young ones see opportunity. And the Drakkar? Barnes asked. Admiral Krell is mobilizing their fleet. Before Reed could answer, Dr. Torres entered the room, her expression serious. The Drakkar have sent 3 battle groups toward the Epsilon system. They'll reach our colony there in 6 days. Reed sighed. So Krell chose war after all. Activate the defense grid, but no offensive measures. We're not giving them an excuse. Torres hesitated. There's something else. We've received requests for alliance from 22 worlds, most outside council space. They want protection. And knowledge, added Jake Wilson, entering with a stack of data pads. Our open-source database has had over 8 billion downloads. Species that never had access to advanced tech are building their own now. Reed stared at the massive ships under construction. We offered them a seat at the table as equals. They refused. Now we've built our own table. He turned to face his team. And it seems the galaxy prefers our invitation to theirs. On the screen behind them, Admiral Krell continued his war preparations, unaware that the real battle for the galaxy's future had already been decided, not by weapons, but by ideas. Admiral Krell stood on the bridge of the Drakkar flagship Eternal Conquest *. Around him, officers monitored screens and prepared for battle. Ahead, the Epsilon system came into view, home to one of Earth's oldest colonies. 3 human defense platforms detected, reported the sensor officer. Minimal weapons signatures. Their colony appears largely undefended. Krell narrowed his reptilian eyes. This seemed too easy. The humans had shown remarkable technological capability. Why leave a colony so vulnerable? Full scan of the system, Krell ordered. I want to know where they're hiding their fleet. Admiral, called the communications officer. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. Ignore it, Krell growled. Maintain course. Sir, the transmission is playing on all channels. We can't block it. The main view screen activated without command. Ambassador Reed's face appeared, looking calm and untroubled. Admiral Krell, Reed said, Earth has no quarrel with the Drakkar. We ask you to reconsider your current course of action. Krell stepped forward. You threaten the stability of the galaxy. The Council cannot allow. The Council, Reed interrupted, does not speak for the galaxy. It never has. It speaks for its oldest and most powerful members. He paused. Including the Drakkar. We will not be lectured on galactic politics by newcomers, Krell snarled. Your colony will surrender, or we will take it by force. Reed's expression didn't change. No, Admiral, you will not. The transmission ended. Krell turned to his tactical officer. Prepare to. Sir, the sensor officer shouted. Multiple contacts, appearing from nowhere. On the tactical display, dozens of ships suddenly appeared. They were unlike any vessels Krell had ever seen, sleek, black, and giving off no energy readings his sensors could identify. One had appeared next to each Drakkar ship in his fleet. Another hung directly over the human colony. Impossible, whispered the tactical officer. They were not there a second ago. No jump signatures. No distortion fields. Krell stared at the screen. The humans had developed some kind of stealth technology beyond anything in the known galaxy. Admiral, the communications officer said, voice shaking, the human ships are broadcasting on all frequencies, not just to us, to every world in Council space. The view screen split to show multiple images. Each human ship had appeared not just near Krell's fleet, but in the home systems of every Council race. They hung over capital cities, beside space stations, near major military installations. The message was clear. We can reach you anywhere. But the humans weren't firing. They weren't making demands. They were simply present. What are they waiting for? Muttered Krell's second-in-command. The answer came as the broadcast continued. The view shifted to show a dead moon orbiting a gas giant. It was a familiar sight to all spacefaring races, the type of lifeless rock that dotted every system. As billions washed across the galaxy, silver machines descended to the moon's surface. They burrowed into the ground. Within minutes, a shimmer appeared around the moon, an atmosphere forming where none had existed before. Hours compressed into seconds as the recording advanced. Water appeared, pooling into seas. Green spread across gray plains. The recording ended, returning to Reed's face. What you just witnessed took place in real time, he said. The process began when this transmission did. You may verify this yourselves. Krell's sensor officer was already checking. It's true, Admiral. The moon in the Procyon system has changed. It now has an atmosphere, water, and basic plant life. Reed continued. Earth could have used this technology for weapons. Instead, we offer it as a gift. Not just terraforming, but all the advances we've developed. Free medical technology, clean energy, faster transportation. He leaned forward slightly. We ask nothing in return except this: an end to the Council's monopoly on progress, an end to treating younger species as lesser beings, an end to the old order. The view screen returned to the tactical display. One by one, the human ships were disappearing as mysteriously as they had appeared, leaving Krell's fleet alone in space. The Admiral stared at the empty screen, then turned to his bridge crew. "Stand down weapons," he ordered quietly. "Plot a course back to Drakkar Prime." His second-in-command looked shocked. "Sir, our orders." "Our orders," Krell said, "were based on a galaxy that no longer exists." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so empty. Where once representatives from 73 species filled the room with noise and color, now barely half that number remained. The ornate chairs of the younger member worlds stood vacant, silent reminders of a crumbling order. High Chancellor Vos called the session to order, his voice lacking its usual authority. "The Council recognizes the delegation from." The main doors swung open. Every head turned. Ambassador Thomas Reed entered, but not with the small team that had walked out weeks ago. Behind him came a procession of humans and aliens, scientists, engineers, doctors, and diplomats from 24 worlds. Reed approached the central podium without waiting for permission to speak. No one tried to stop him. "The Council does not recognize Earth as a speaking member," Drex said weakly, clinging to protocol. Reed smiled. "We're not here as supplicants, Counselor. We're here to extend an invitation." On the massive screen behind him appeared a document. Its title read simply, "The Open Development Accord." "For centuries," Reed began, "the Council has controlled which technologies are shared and which are not, which species advance and which remain dependent, which voices matter and which are ignored." He gestured to the diverse group behind him. "We offer a different path. The Open Development Accord creates a framework for the free exchange of knowledge, technology, and resources. No secrets, no artificial delays, no species designated as lesser or developing." Dr. Torres stepped forward. "Earth has already begun sharing our advances with any world that asks. Medical techniques that can extend lifespans by 50%. Energy systems that produce no waste. And yes, terraforming technology that can transform dead worlds into garden planets." "And what do you want in return?" asked Admiral Krell, who sat unusually quiet in his oversized chair. "Your knowledge," Reed answered simply. "Your unique perspectives. Your friendship, if offered freely." He spread his hands. "In the months since we left these chambers, 27 worlds have already signed the accord. 15 were never even invited to join the Council despite their civilization's achievements." Chancellor Lumi rose from her seat, luminescent skin glowing softly. "The Ardani wish to know more about this accord." "As do the Proxima," added another voice. One by one, representatives of the remaining younger Council species expressed interest. The older members remained silent, their power visibly slipping away. Reed turned to face the entire chamber. "For 15 years, Earth asked for a seat at your table. You denied us. So we built our own table, one large enough for everyone. Outside the Council station, in the vastness of space, something new was taking shape. Construction ships from a dozen worlds worked together, building an enormous structure, a new headquarters for a new galactic order." Back in the chamber, Chancellor Vos finally found his voice. "You cannot simply replace the Council. We have maintained peace for 10,000 years. Peace for some," corrected Jack Lee, Earth's economic advisor. "Stagnation for others. The galaxy is too vast for any single group to control its destiny." Reed nodded. "The Council can continue to exist, Chancellor. Those who wish to remain with you may do so. But know this, the future will be built by those who share, not those who hoard." As if to emphasize his point, Reed's communication device chimed. He checked it and smiled. "That was Colony Epsilon," he announced. "The first graduates of our open medical program have developed a cure for Malnian fever, a disease that has plagued the outer colonies for centuries. The cure is already being distributed, free of charge. A murmur ran through the chamber. Malnian fever had killed millions, and the Council's medical directorate had struggled with it for generations. Reed looked around at the faces of the oldest, most powerful species in the galaxy. For the first time, he saw something new in their expressions. Not anger, not resentment, but uncertainty. And perhaps in some, the first glimmer of understanding. "The choice is yours," Reed said quietly. "Join us in building something new, or cling to the past as it fades away. Either way, humanity will continue on the path we've chosen." He turned and walked toward the exit, followed by his diverse procession of allies. This time, no one expected them to come back.